This is Aaron Werner, and welcome to Independent Insights, where we share quick conversations on topics relevant to running efficient and profitable independent private practices while providing the best care for our patients. Thanks to VisionSource, whose mission it is to enable independent optometrists to achieve their highest potential, for supporting these conversations. Today I get to have an awesome conversation with Talene Ahmadian, who has a practice in Los Angeles area, about why she spends time out of her practice attending the exchange, which is the VisionSource national meeting. I think this conversation is applicable to most time out of the practice attending meetings, but we talk about what's unique about the VisionSource meeting. And just so you are all aware of what that is, it takes place every year. This year it is April 19th through 22nd at the Henry Gonzalez Convention Center in San Antonio, Texas. A link to register and more information will be in the show notes. And just some statistics about the exchange. We have over 100 vendors, over 1,000 doctors, independent practice owners, so like-minded individuals, over 600 staff, and we survey them every year. And over 80% of the ODs and staff attendants make plans to come back the next year. And what's really important and telling is the responses to the, hey, would you recommend the exchange to a colleague? And 70% of those who attended the exchange scored that a 10 out of 10. They would recommend it to a colleague. And over 94% rated that an 8, 9, or 10 on a scale of 1 to 10 that they would recommend. So very, very highly recommended meeting. I hope you enjoy the conversation that Talene and I have. And as always, please share the conversation. Please share the podcast. Rate us 5 stars. Leave a comment. Let us know what you like to hear. And hopefully we'll see you in San Antonio in April. I am here with Talene Ahmadian, and really excited, Talene, to have you join us to talk about why you invest in time out of your practice to go to meetings like the VisionSource Exchange and the value it brings to you. But first, we want to know who you are. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your practice in Los Angeles, how you became an owner. Tell us about Talene.
Sounds great. So thank you, Aaron. I live in Los Angeles, and I went into practice in the midst of 2020. And if anyone was familiar with Los Angeles in 2020, they know it was kind of a ghost town. So just a little bit of a background. I come from ophthalmology. I worked in ophthalmology, just doing pre and post ops. I really thought that that's what I wanted to do. And after doing that for a while and working in institutions and private practice ophthalmology, I realized that I really want to delve deeper into business ownership, practice ownership, and really practice somewhere where I can call the shots and do the procedures that I want to do and do things the way that I want to do it. So it just so happened that in 2020, I had the opportunity to purchase my current practice, Woodley Optometry in Encino. It's in the San Fernando Valley, for those of you who are familiar, but really November of 2020 is when I officially took over. So it was a tough time. And really, I would say it was a blessing, because it was really uphill from there in Los Angeles, because things started opening up, then they started closing back down. And so we really already knew what to do, and it wasn't navigating these uncharted waters that we hadn't seen before, because the summer was already over. And that's where it all really started. And my practice has been VisionSource for over 20 years, and I just decided to keep it that way. The way that I got into purchasing my practice was, ever since I graduated, I would just go to VisionSource meetings in my area, and my administrator at the time, and now everyone's just been so kind and welcoming and always was willing to help me either find a job, find a practice, really get my foot in the door. So that was really important part of my development and, where I am today.
Awesome. So it sounds like you grew up, if you will, professionally in the VisionSource family and had that community from the beginning.
Yeah. Really grateful for it.
Now I have to ask, did you go to any of the exchanges before you were an owner?
I did not. So I had the opportunity actually in 2020 when we had the virtual exchange, because again, things at that time when I went into practice ownership were not where they ever were. So everyone was just navigating this weird time, and I had the opportunity to, but obviously that didn't happen. My first exchange was it Houston in 2021?
Houston in August of 2021. That was a hot exchange.
It was a very hot exchange. And then I also went in 2022 when it was in Washington, D.C., which was a trek, but so totally worth it.
Awesome. So let's dive into this, and we're going to use the exchange as an example, as we're both Vision Source members, and I think this applies to a lot of professional development in optometry for other meetings as well. As a practice owner, if you sit and look, let's say that you make anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000 a day, depending on the size of the practice, solo doc. And if you're going to go to a meeting like the exchange, where the events are Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that's potentially $20,000 to $50,000 or more in lost revenue. I did air quotes in the lost revenue, because I look at it as an investment. But I want to talk about how you see that, and why you've now twice in 2 years in a row, and presumably this year as well, when we're looking to go to San Antonio in April, why you want to close your doors and come to the exchange. What are you looking to get out of it?
I really love that you call it an investment, because that's what I see it as. And there aren't a lot of industry events that I do see as an investment. Some I see as good to have. If it works out, I'll go. But the exchange is just different for me, because it's very different. So it brings in resources where you feel like a better doctor clinically. You feel like a better business owner with all of the pearls that you learn, because there's resources for everything. You learn to become a better employer, because that's what most owner doctors are, and really an industry expert, because you're surrounded by all of these resources, whether it's personal development, professional development. It really brings all of those things under one roof, and that's why I really love it, because it's big enough to be diverse, but it's also curated where you don't have to spend time analyzing and weeding through this map of, this is where I want to go, and this is the event I want to attend, and this is the vendor I want to see. Everything is just curated and there based on what doctors have asked for in the past, what they've surveyed doctors. Hey, what would you like at the next event? Because if you're going to spend time out of your practice to be there, we want to make it worthwhile for you. And it's really just that. If I was actually looking at the list for the learning labs at the exchange, which I love to attend. And, you choose a few because, there's multiple at the same time. And I was like, oh my goodness, I can't choose which one. I want to go to all of these, but you can't. And you're like, oh my gosh, this one's sold out, but you can go to this one. So it's just, there's so much to do, and it's all so relevant where you don't have to decide, okay, let me navigate this and let me navigate that and let me make sure that I see this person, but it's all the way on the other side of the exhibit hall. It's really not like that. So I like to see it as a curated event that is almost 100% relevant to me, my practice, my growth as an individual, as a doctor, as a clinician, as an industry expert, as a business owner, employer. All of those things are just checked off because we're able to find resources for all of those things there, whether it's software for your HR, a new tool for dry eye that you want to bring in, questions you have about a multifocal contact lens fitting, you want to change your lab, like they're just everything, and it's all in one place, and that's why I find it so valuable.
Awesome. That was, I don't know how you said all that together back to back. That is a lot, but you summed it up perfectly. For those who haven't gone, let's break down some of those different events that you talked about. You brought up the learning labs, which I'm partial to as well. Those are peer-led, facilitated discussions. Yeah. So sometimes they're doctor owners, sometimes it's associate doctors, sometimes it's staff members that just have a skill set where they aren't lecturing to us when we're in the room, but they're facilitating a conversation and a sharing of best practices, an exchange of best practices, if you will. And we've got 4 sessions of those throughout the exchange. And I agree with about 40 of those, it's tough to hit all of them. And so we bring our staff. I try to divide and conquer and have them bring back different,
That's a great idea.
Different ideas. but we've got the learning labs. We also have learning and development sessions, and these, for the most part, think of them like continuing education, but they don't offer continuing education because we don't want to just check off a box and get an hour. What we really want, and members have told us, is we want to learn how to take clinical best practices and evidence-based medicine, but apply it into private practice. And sometimes that can be tricky. How do I take the research and put it into practice so it's successful for me and my patients? And so we've got the learning and development sessions. We have the Vision Source practice protocols, and I know that you've taken some of those. This year we're launching the glaucoma protocol, which is really big. We've got 12 states in the country that can do surgical laser procedures on those, and some states that just got ability to treat glaucoma. So excited to roll that out. We have staff studios. Those were new last year. We've expanded those this year to sessions just for staff, workshops just for staff. Because I don't know about you, but I like to say that it's my practice, but I really know whose practice it is.
Yep.
I know who runs the show and who helps make it successful. So we want to invest in them. Expanded content sessions to dive deeper with specific vendors on their products, and then theater sessions that happen all during the exhibit hall to, again, dive a little bit deeper into products. So I like the word curate that you used.
Thank you.
So we can we can organize everything into digestible sessions, and in between that, we interact with our colleagues.
That's the best part. That's really the best part.
That is absolutely the best part. So you were telling me before we started recording that last year, that you really like dry eye and ocular surface disease and treating that, and that you had been eyeing, before you went to the exchange last year, a piece of equipment that was fairly expensive, and you ended up leaving the exchange having purchased it. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so, again, I went into practice in 2020. So it's all been about remaining aware of the times and understanding what we can afford and not afford, and what we should dive deeper in and what we shouldn't. So not that I love dry eye, I love treating dry eye. I love having the resources for dry eye. And a dream tool of mine was the Optilight. And I really tried. I tried looking into other things, and that's just my personal opinion. I tried looking into other devices. That's just what I found for me and my practice was going to be my dream come true to have this machine. However, just like a dream car, you think about it and you're like, okay, maybe next year if we look at these metrics on my P&L, and if it works out, we'll do it. So that's where my thought process was. And I was going to the exchange. I was going to buy some frames and really take advantage of the promotions that do come at the exchange for a variety of things. So there's drops and other things that we sell. And I started off at I wasn't even thinking of going to the expanded content by Luminous, which it was a nice expanded content session. I just had some time to kill in between. I was meeting a colleague and I was like, oh, great, expanded content. Let me go and see if there's anything I haven't heard before. And I was sitting in there with people that either had the device or were thinking about the device. And so when you have people that are kind of, lack of a better term, on the same wavelength as you, these conversations just flow very fluidly. And you're able to kind of develop this thought process of, okay, if I do this, it's totally attainable. And, talking to all of these experts that have had it, seeing a doctor that is in the same type of region as you, saying that she is doing so well that she paid it off in a year, or whatever the case may be, it really opens your eyes like, okay, maybe I can delve a little bit deeper. Maybe I can jump in and take that risk. Let me go see what it's about. And in this particular, on this day, they did have available sessions to try the device, which is also very, very important. When your rep comes in trying to sell you anything, you usually can't try it because obviously, the machine's not there. It's very large. And I was able to try it and was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. This is the best time. And it was the best decision I ever made. I'm actually scared of going to the exchange this year because I don't know what else I'm gonna see.
What else you decide that you need?
Yeah, we'll see. But this was the best decision I ever made, and I'm so happy that I did it, and I probably would have regretted not doing it had I not done it. So
awesome.
Yeah.
And if I recall, it wasn't employed docs who were performing the demos. It was our colleagues, right?
Yeah.
Vision Source docs who are in private practice, who spent their own money to buy a unit of their own, walking you through the procedure and probably talking through how they've implemented it in their practice successfully.
Exactly. Just a natural conversation while you're getting your treatment done about how great it's been for them, and it could potentially be really great for you.
Awesome. And so obviously you got the unit, and you've implemented it successfully in the practice.
Yeah.
How much of that implementation and success do you attribute to just conversations with your colleagues that you had at the exchange?
I would say close to all of it, because what happened was at that expanded learning session, I met with a few of the docs that I know that aren't particularly from my Vision Source group, but they're from nearby locations, and we exchanged numbers, and we're like, okay, if you're doing it, I'm doing it, and she's doing it, let's meet up. And so we got it a month after we each got the device. We kind of met up for dinner and we talked about it, and we have like a group chat going. So, it's been,
that's so cool.
It's so cool because we all started at the same time. So it really helps when you have someone that's right there with you, just to bounce ideas like, hey, how are you doing this? How are you packaging this? And just things that you really need to develop for yourself. Having that extra input is just so valuable.
Well, that speaks to the value of community.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just having that community and that organized community. And honestly, I think that I've told myself multiple times, well, I can do this on my own, but I don't. Yeah. Right? It's being put together in the groups and put in those environments to where I can meet those people and meet those resources, and help somebody else. Maybe be their mentor at the same time. Find new mentors for myself.
Absolutely.
Cool. One other thing you mentioned is because the exchange isn't all just buying equipment and frames and contacts and drops. You had mentioned managing HR and the soft skills that are important in running a practice and owning a business that we were never taught in school. What are some of the things that you've taken away from the exchange on those soft skills, if you will?
Really, the soft skills. I have met so many people. I don't know about you. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I feel like our Vision Source docs at the exchange, like you can literally run into someone and have a conversation and they will tell you how they do things. So it's like the most bizarre, but like the best thing ever, because everyone's so willing to help one another. And I love doing that. I'm an oversharer when it comes to stuff like that. It's working for me. I hope it works for you. And so I feel like just interacting and getting a fresh perspective from people I meet, because we happen to be looking at the same OCT at the exhibit hall, or you're sitting next to someone at a learning lab waiting for the learning lab to start. And, it's really those things, those little pearls that you get from someone that lives like 5 states over, that you're like, oh, wow, I didn't really think of that. And it really stays with you. And if it resonates, you implement it and you do really well. So, I think really like we can teach and we can present so many things, but these personal interactions, they speak volumes.
I absolutely love what you just said, because it's that community, that family, that interaction.
Yeah.
Lori Sorensen's one of my mentors, and she says all the time that the definition of an expert is a person that has made more mistakes than you. And there's a lot of collective experience of practice ownership, independent optometry at the exchange. So learning from those that have tried things successfully, maybe made mistakes that you can pull from, and then being able to contribute back to that is really rewarding and fun.
Yeah, I agree.
So awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing you in San Antonio on April 19th through 22nd at the exchange. In the show notes, there's links to the exchange. If you're a Vision Source member, you can register directly. If you're not a Vision Source member but interested and want to find out more, there's a link there for you too. We would love to be able to welcome you to help into the experience and see who we are and what this whole community is all about, and why Talene gets so excited when she gets to talk about getting all together and sharing with colleagues and catching up and whatnot. So, any parting words for us, Talene?
I just want to say, if you haven't been and you are a Vision Source member, I was actually at a conference and I made a really good friend just by talking, but she was also Vision Source, but she had never been to the exchange, and we're now very good friends, but I did convince her that she's coming this year, so I'm super excited for her.
Awesome.
She might even be listening, but just, if you haven't gone, just go and you'll know exactly what we're talking about, because I can tell you every single time I've been on the plane on the way back, I'm literally on the edge of my seat because I've learned so much. I can't wait to go share with my staff and just put all of that stuff into action. So if you haven't gone yet, just do yourself a favor and go this year. And San Antonio is going to be super fun. It
is, and it's a reminder that optometry is bigger than just the four walls that we practice in, yeah. And we get an opportunity to steal from each other ideas and best practices, and just get re-energized and refreshed. It's cool. So I appreciate it again. Thank you for making time for us, and I will see you in just a few short weeks.
Thank you. See you soon.